All right. Hi, my name's Leah, and I'm so happy to be with you all. This is going to be a yin class of a little bit over an hour, so take it at your own pace. And the theme that I'll be incorporating into class today is something I've been thinking about this week is this sense of fatigue that we're experiencing all together as a sort of global community. And it's interesting to have this happening in the summertime where it feels like we should have more energy and more, like excitement for connection and being social. And I think that we are such social beings and wanting to be connected, but this pandemic is really creating sort of a sense of grief and loss that we don't necessarily acknowledge very much in our culture, that there's space for us to have a sense of, just time to experience that sort of uncomfortable emotion, because a lot of people are experiencing isolation or just frustration with what they're not able to do compared to what we normally would be doing in the summer season, as well as just in our everyday lives. So how this all makes me think and relates to yoga is that with yin especially, we're targeting sort of quieting down and taking more time for our body and connecting our minds and body, which can be such a peaceful, relaxing practice, but also can be not always that comfortable to try to slow down and experience what's really going on in the body. So my hope for you is to create a nice restorative place for you to slow down and quiet and just experience what is up for you in the moments of the next hour and give you some time to digest all of it. So always take it at your own pace. And when I say that, it just means that if you're ever experiencing pain, just back off a little bit and find a shape that works for you. And so we're gonna start with laying down on our backs. So just in a face up Shavasana. And once you get down there, just go ahead and take up as much space as you want to, maybe reaching your arms out and taking a few deep breaths. And I'm actually gonna encourage you to have your eyes open for just the first few breaths of this. And the intention of this is just to look around the room and to maybe notice something you haven't noticed before in the space. Maybe looking into the corners, the ceiling. And the intention is to bring the awareness into this moment right here. And so all throughout class, I'm gonna speak to this metaphor of an anchor. So finding these anchors that we can find this sense of grounding and stability to come back to ourselves and come back to our body and come back to this moment and honoring whatever is up right now. And after noticing different things in the room, if that's something you're enjoying doing, you can continue that. Just inviting in this practice of curiosity and observation, and something that we're practicing during this internal practice of observing what sensation, whether it's emotional or physical, is coming up throughout our poses, in our thoughts. And then bringing the attention to your breath, and noticing the quality of your breath right now, whether it's in the morning time and it feels slow, or whether it feels a little bit revved up from the busyness of your day or anticipating what's next. Maybe trying to elongate and welcome a longer inhale, as well as an even longer and slower exhale. Noticing the textures underneath your body, wherever your hand is touching the floor, wherever your hips are supported by the mat and the ground beneath you. Really giving the full weight of your body over in this moment. So not only do we have this sense of separation and isolation and sort of lack of our normal connection right now, but we also, so many people have a change in their routine, in their work routine or their life routine, maybe kids at home, and a lot to balance. And just like when we sleep train children or when we're raising children, we really emphasize how important having this sense of routine is. And this is a way to understand what an anchor is like. So just having the sense of making your bed or getting on that outfit for work is all these sort of known and familiar anchors that we have that create structure and really regulate our nervous system. So in this time, we have so much unknown and change. It's really so important for us to slow down and find our own new anchors, new things that can ground us, new times of day that we can take just for ourselves, maybe just a few deep breaths. So learning to find a pause between what could feel chaotic. Just take about 3 to 4 of your breaths here. Still allowing your neck and your head to be heavy and relaxed, and your heart to be held by the earth beneath you, held in this protected space in the center of your body. We're in this season of summer, the season of our heart and fire connection. And just allowing a little softness here. Let's take a big inhale together, nice and slow. And open your mouth, release, exhale out. You can begin to find some movement, so wiggling your fingers and toes. Again, bringing in that slowness of observation and curiosity. So your body begins to just feel new sensations. And go ahead and can bend your knees and plant your feet on the ground. And to open class, we're just gonna reach our hands and our feet up towards the sky. So just allowing the blood to rush down. You can wiggle our fingers, maybe roll out your wrists and ankles. Just incorporating a little movement. We're gonna focus on our um, system of water and in our body today. So we'll be targeting the bladder meridian to really find this hydration and depth grounding in our body. You can bend your knees, just begin to kind of nourish and hydrate those ligaments and muscles of your legs. And then when you're ready, we'll come into our first pose. So we're gonna do a happy baby. So in Vinyasa, they're often teaching to grab the bottoms of your feet, but I would encourage you to grab maybe the backs of your thighs and kind of wedge your hands up beneath your knees. And then you're just gonna separate and have a little sense of pulling your knees, tractioning them back towards your armpits. And you're always welcome to use any props in yin yoga. We want your body to feel really supported. So you could bring a blanket underneath your head or your neck. So you're just opening up the back line of your body. You can always increase the sensation by reaching for your feet, but I really want your tailbone to be grounded all the way onto the earth. You don't want to disturb your sciatic nerve or any of those special areas near your tailbone. And as you find the shape, as much as you can, trying to hold your legs, but finding some relaxation and melting through your shoulders. Relaxation through your neck. And coming back to your breath. Just noticing the inhale and the natural release of your exhale. So in Chinese medicine, the water element is related to this bladder meridian as well as your kidneys. And in this season of fire, summertime, often we can get deficient in this hydration and this water. And when we have this deficiency in what we associate with the energy of water is that we can feel this sense of out of balance. We can feel a sense of fear and worry, sense of insecurity. If you think about the depth of water and the wisdom of all that lies beneath the ocean, in Chinese medicine, they believe that it's water that feeds this sense of your own wisdom and grounding and security in yourself. So by moving through these shapes, we'll be removing any blockages of the meridians that are associated with the bladder and the kidneys. So just about 4 or 5 more breaths here. Maybe relaxing through your ankles and your feet. Something that's a good visual to think about when there's an imbalance in water is inflammation. So in our culture, we see a lot of inflammation in our digestive systems, in our ankles and our wrists. And this is the body sending water to an area to try to heal and hydrate. But it gets stuck and bloated and becomes heavy. So it's important to, as our bodies are continuously trying to find the balance of what to hold on to for the necessary nourishment and what to let go. So just like your breath, just inhaling whatever it is that we need from that oxygen and air, and releasing whatever to let go of in our exhale. When we have a sense of balance, this energy and wisdom of water provides this sense of grounding into a deep sense of self-confidence and self-understanding. And again, in this time of such unknown, where we've, prior to this sort of unrest in the world, we all had this trajectory of where we were headed. Now we're having to adapt into a more chaotic world. So it's just so important to find this time to ground into ourselves. Take 2 more breaths here. Really enjoying an exhale with an open mouth whenever you need to. Let's take one last breath together. So a nice big inhale. And open mouth, exhale. Go ahead and release your legs down nice and slow. And come back into a Shavasana on your back, and we'll come into our rebound pose. So in between each of our yin poses, we'll take up just about a minute to observe and sort of dissipate any energy that wants to move and sort of ground down back into ourselves. So again, enjoy the ground beneath you as it holds the weight of your body. Noticing any sensation in your inner thighs or low back. Noticing what's happening in your mind. You can always gently invite your mind to take a pause and come back to your thoughts after this practice. Just letting it know that you're busy breathing and busy feeling into the sensations of the body. So you're always welcome to find stillness in this rebound pose, or sometimes your body signals you to want to have a gentle movement. So sometimes that can help remove the blockages in the energy meridians and loosen the muscles. So you can always incorporate what your body's signaling for you to do. Just taking about 3 more of your breaths here. Just noticing the quality of your breath now. Let's take a big inhale together and open mouth, exhale. So if your feet are not planted, go ahead and bend your knees. We're going to move into a twist. So if you have a favorite twist, you're welcome to move into that. What I would encourage is to find a little baby bridge pose so you can lift your hips up slightly and move them off to the left just 1 or 2 inches. And before you go into it, maybe grab a blanket or a bolster. You can have a prop, and then you can lift your knees towards your chest, and you can allow your knees to fall towards the right. And your left shoulder can find grounding down, maybe onto the floor, maybe onto a blanket. Sometimes we have to bring the floor up to us a little bit to allow the shoulder to relax. The more the props, the better, I usually say. You're welcome to straighten that top left leg to incorporate a little bit more of an IT band opening the side of your leg. You could always put a blanket or a bolster between your knees or under that extended leg. And we have a lot of time in each of these poses, so I encourage you to take the time that works well to find a place where you can really allow your bones to be supported so your body can fully relax. Taking as much time as you need to find the twist. Knees over towards the right, opening through that left side. And once you find a place to find stillness, go ahead and fill your chest with your breath, finding a nice expansion here. Finding an openness through your ribs, finding a nice soft belly. Welcoming some gentleness into that area of your belly, a place that where you're often holding in, often feeling insecure. Just allowing for it to expand into a place of confidence to fully be exactly how it is. Often I talk about having gratitude for this place within your belly, within your organ system, the beautiful, intricate workings of our digestive system. And sometimes when we're asked to find openness or feel into an area of our body, we want to sort of immediately jump to gratitude or this practice of feeling that we have abundance and we can be grateful for even the things that we're uncomfortable about. And I encourage to have a pause between this signal of whatever emotion is coming up. And rather than trying to white it out with this philosophy of gratitude or whatever you associate with this sense of thankfulness, because though that's an amazing practice to bring in this sense of connection and feeling of abundance, we're training our mind and training our body in these practices to hold space for whatever it is. So be here for just about 4 more breaths, coming back to your inhale and releasing through your exhales. And often in this yoga practice, we come here for relaxation and connection to ourselves. There's a lot of people that don't particularly love coming to a yoga class because it's uncomfortable to get into the truth of our thoughts or the truth of what comes up in our sensations. But there can be this sense of gentleness and acceptance to allow these sensations and emotions to move. I like to think of emotions as just energy that wants to move. So if we skip that sense of feeling and holding space, that's when we create those blockages and the meridians. That's when we sort of stuff down and end up feeling more residually frustrated or insecure. So let's send our last 2 breaths down towards that belly, nice openness and softness. Just allowing a little space for this place that has so much power, so much wisdom. One more inhale here together. Biggest breath of your whole day. And open your mouth, exhale. And pausing here, listening for the signal of your body to move and unravel yourself out of this posture and back to center. So you could come into a constructive rest with your feet landed and your knees up towards the sky. Just about 4 more breaths here. Just tracing that line from your pinky toe on your left side all the way up your leg, through those left ribs. Just feeling into the difference between each side. Let's find a nice long inhale here. And a nice open mouth exhale out. Go ahead and bend your knees. Plant your feet. Finding a little bit of strength through that belly so you can lift your hips up into just a bridge, only a few inches off the ground. Move your hips off towards the right, just a couple inches, and allowing your knees to fall towards the left. And again, taking the time you need to prop maybe your shoulders or your neck, maybe putting something between your knees. You can always straighten that top leg. And maybe the side feels different, and just let that be okay. definitely not symmetrical beings. Just working to find a place that you can feel really supported by any pillows or blankets, so your neck and shoulder can feel relaxed. And taking as much time as you need. You hold these postures for about 3 or 4 minutes, so we can all really get into a place where we can let our nervous system relax when we feel really supported. Maybe sending your breath here to the back of your neck, finding softness in the little muscles in the front of your neck, allowing that right shoulder to ground down and your fingertips to release and relax. Feeling each of your breaths expand with your inhale, so your ribs expand and your belly fall with your exhale. And coming back to just noticing what's happening in your mind. You can use your breath as an anchor. You can always just silently say to yourself, I'm inhaling. And with your exhale, I'm letting go. Surrendering to just being in your body, being in this moment, being held by the ground beneath you, supported by all the internal workings of your organ systems, supported by the lungs that breathe us into life. And each time we feel like we're being swept up by our thoughts, being swept up by maybe criticisms toward ourselves or that feeling of needing to be productive, needing to figure things out. Then we can come back to just allowing the mind to settle, come back to feeling into the sensations that are happening in the body, coming back to your breath. When we continuously bring this full circle and we come back to when we're standing on our feet, really grounding into our feet, grounding into the strength of our belly intuition, into our connection to something greater, then we're strengthening that relationship with ourselves. It can feel really rewarding to be in our minds and be productive and get things done. And we're definitely celebrated for that in our culture. But it's hard to feel connected to what we really need and the truths of the boundaries we need to set, the truth of when we need to rest or when we need to ask for connection. So often in a meditation practice, we can feel like, man, I'm really not good at this. I'm really not good at escaping my thoughts. But that's really not what it's about. It's about strengthening that practice of coming from your mind back into your body, coming back into the here and now. Because when we do that, we can actually have this sense that time slows down and we create more patience for ourselves, more patience for others, and ultimately more compassion. Compassion for really listening to what our body needs, more compassion for the people in front of us when we're waiting in line. So it's not easy to slow down, but ultimately it's going to bring us more ability to have this sense of calm waters within ourselves. So go ahead and just take about 3 of your own breaths here. And when your body signals you for your next inhale, make it nice and long, inhaling in. And really slow down and open your mouth for an exhale. We'll roll out and come back onto our backs. Finding your rebound pose, maybe extending your legs long, doing what you feel is best for you. And observing into that right side that you open through your ribs. Just counting about 5 of your breaths here. Just enjoying the inhales and the exhales. These meridians of your bladder and kidney are primarily housed on your back, all the way down your legs. Just feeling the earth come up to meet you there, feeling supported. Allowing your shoulders to melt down, there to be softness all the way through your biceps and your elbows. Relaxing into the palm of your hands. Finding gentleness through your fingertips. Go ahead and extend and find a nice long inhale. And open mouth, release, exhale. Moving really slow through the transitions. When we move slow, we can keep our body in this sort of parasympathetic response, so your repair response. We're going to make our way up into a seat. So moving slowly, maybe rolling to one side. And I'd love for you to find a prop that you can sit up on. Say over 90% of us would really benefit us to sit up on a bolster or blanket or block. We're going to come into, in yin yoga, it's called caterpillar or a forward fold. So it'd be great to sit up on a block or a bolster or blanket. And that's so we can really have our pelvis tilted forward. If we're not tilted forward and we're bending over, it's going to create more tension on our sciatic nerve and actually can lead to sciatica. So we can tip our pelvis forward like it's a bowl. We can keep those nerves safe in our spine. And I tend to hyperextend my knees, so I usually like to have maybe a blanket or something underneath my knees. And again, you can feel what height works for you. Maybe you just want a blanket underneath your hips, and you maybe want a bolster underneath your knees, either way. If you don't have the props, you can actually just find a slight bend in your knees when you lean forward. So wherever you are, you can just go ahead and walk yourself forward. And depending where you get to, you can just find a way for your head and neck to relax. You can always hug a pillow. So you could hug a bolster so your belly feels really supported. And we're not going for a really, deep stretch here. We're just looking for a little bit of openness through our hamstrings and a sort of a curling in towards ourselves. So if you're holding a pillow, you could create a little, oops, sorry, touching the microphone. Create a little support for your head with your hands or for your forehead. Again, taking as much time as you need to get into something that feels nice and comfortable. And it's okay if your head's hanging and opening up through the back of your neck. We won't be here too long, so. And often throughout this pose, you may find that you can walk yourself a bit deeper, or if it feels like too much on the little tendons in your knees or in your low back, you can always just walk yourself up a little bit. And in yin yoga, we're looking for just really finding the edge of sensation, so not going into a full amount of stretch. Because when we're in a full, extended as much as we can stretch, then our muscles are going to want to engage to protect all those ligaments. We want our muscles to be really soft and relaxed. So we're targeting these fascial tissues or targeting the energy meridians. And so when our body is relaxed, then we can go into this repair response of our nervous system. So curling in towards your heart, opening up the back line of your body, just allowing your head to be heavy, bowing in towards yourself. And relaxing through your toes and your ankles. And coming back into the observation of your breath. So inhaling, finding an expansion through your inhales. And a release through your exhales. Noticing the textures beneath your legs. Noticing where the ground is coming up to meet you. And often we can feel like we're in a sort of chaotic place when we're moving into a place of quiet or a place of stillness. It can be hard to feel like you can slow down. This isn't a time to be critical of yourself. It's just a time to know that you're practicing. You're practicing slowing down. You're practicing finding whatever sort of physical sensations can anchor you and return that awareness to what's happening in your body, what's happening in your emotions, so we can make the best decisions for ourselves. So just about 4 more breaths here. Expanding through those ribs, expanding the back side of your body. Maybe you want to walk yourself just a little bit deeper or back off a little. Just taking in the quiet here in your last breaths. Let's take a nice inhale together, inhaling in. And a nice release, exhale out. From here, you're gonna come up slowly, so uncurling your head. And just slowly walking your fingers back. Could bend your knees if that felt good. Maybe leaning back, sort of expanding through your heart, whatever your body's craving. And you can decide here what you'd like to do for a rebound pose. So you could come to lay on your back. You could lay on your belly. Again, just choosing what would feel good for you. And feeling into the back of your legs, allowing your hip bones to expand and release. Enjoying the shoulder blades and shoulders can feel supported. Your heart can open up. Deciding if you want stillness or you want movement. Just 2 more breaths here. And take an inhale in together. And open mouth, release. And just pause here. Feeling the imprint of your body exactly where it is. And then you're going to go ahead and roll to your side. We're going to come up once again, and we'll do our last opening pose. So sort of a counter pose to what we just did. So it's going to look similar to how I'm sitting now, but I'd encourage you to find a blanket or a block to sit up on. So I'm going to fold my blanket quite a bit. And then you can do a few different things. So you can recline yourself. Basically, we're just opening up your thighs. So into a saddle. So I'll show you what it would look like as reclined. So you can either go back fully on your bolster like that, or you could prop your bolster up with some blocks. So stage one would just to be sit up like this, have something grounded underneath you to support you, and you can just close your eyes and sit here in sort of a meditative seat to open up your thighs. If you would like to recline it, then you would bring your bolster up towards your tailbone here, feeling like it can support you, and then you'd slowly walk yourself down to find a bit more opening through the front line of your body. This would be a great place to bring maybe a blanket underneath your low back, a blanket underneath your neck. And again, just taking the time you need. You can always scoot forward a little bit and slowly walk yourself back. So we have so much blood going through our thighs, so much strength there. It's great to find a place and time to, for each day, finding a little bit of opening here. Wherever you are, maybe it's finding a way to be about 10% more comfortable. So maybe it's too much to recline. Maybe you just want to come up into a seat. And taking the time and listening to your body, what is right for you. Could just put if you're seated, you can just put a bolster behind you and lean your hands onto it. It's coming into a slight tilting back. Or you can just center right over your hips. Just being patient with yourself, taking the time you need to find what works for you. Whatever feels like an opening through your thighs. And wherever you are, if you're reclined or if you're straight up, just imagining that space of air above your head. And energetically moving your head towards that space. Find a little bit more extension through your spine and softness through your heart. So in meditation, they'll often say a strong back and a soft front. So really having this foundation of strength and support of yourself through your back, and a softness and openness through your heart, softness through your belly, and just about 3 more breaths here. Can be a lot of sensation through your ankles, stretching through your shins. Again, just feeling into what sensations are there. And allowing there to be space for them to move. And just two more breaths here. And inhale, really extending your spine and your head up. And releasing, relaxing, grounding down through your hips on your exhale. Just a nice soft inhale together. And open your mouth, release, exhale. You can open your eyes, maybe just looking at the floor. If you're on your back, you just slowly and gently find some strength through your belly to walk your way back up. And then we're going to come down onto our backs. Just so our thighs can open and release, and the blood flow can come back into our legs. If you wanted to stay upright, you could bend your knees in towards one another for a little rock side to side. Or if you wanted to bring in that sense of observation and slowness, you could come all the way onto your back. Maybe counting here, trying to find nice, slow 6 rounds of breath. No need to even change your natural breath, just allowing it to be how it is. Just observing the inhale, observing the exhale. Go ahead, and if you're welcome to move into Shavasana at this time, or we can end class in a reclined butterfly as well. So there's a few options for that. If Shavasana feels like it's right for you, go ahead and do that. And if for a butterfly, you could support your knee with blocks or blankets or pillows. You could lay flush onto the ground if that would feel good. You're always welcome to lay onto a bolster. Setting yourself up for what would end your class the best. You could end in legs up the wall, or you could where you would prop your hips up and just reach your feet up into the air. So this is your chance to decide what would feel best for you. I love this reclined butterfly. So I can feel really like my legs are really supported. And there's an openness, a soft belly. And reaching your hands out as wide as you can. And if you chose a shape to end class in, know that you can always move yourself into a traditional Shavasana anytime. So beginning to just let go of all that's come before this. And coming into the shape. and sense of openness and surrender. Whatever shape you're in, imagining that you are laying on maybe a floaty in the water, or laying just flush on top of the water, and that an anchor could slowly lower down from a string that's attached to the back of your heart, moving slowly down through the water as it gets darker, as it gets deeper. And just noticing the anchor as it touches the sand, the ocean floor, and as it finds a sense of holding and grounding, and feeling this sense of security and stability, this whole space around your heart. Allowing your hips to feel really heavy, allowing them to feel fluid, like they were supported and held by the water, by this flotation. So you can really soften all around your hips and your belly, all the way down your legs, allowing them to feel heavy and light as if they were floating. Feeling grounded with the anchor, but also feeling loose and relaxed. Imagining that your head was just floating in the water. Your neck can be loose, and fully allowing it to float. Be listening to the sounds around you, ones that are further away, and listening for the sounds that are closer in the room around you, maybe music or a fan. And listening for the sound of your own breath. And feeling fully released and relaxed. Letting go of your breath, just allowing it to be soft and shallow and slow. Even though there's so much unknown, and so much that we can't predict, we have to take a hold of what we do know and what we do have this sense of control over. So we have the ability to make order and make routine for ourselves in the smallest ways. We have the ability to step outside and take maybe just 2 or 3 deep breaths, allowing our body to catch up with our mind. Maybe throughout the day, we can practice looking up to the corners of the room or down at the floor, so we can bring that sense of awareness back into where we are right now. So we can feel that sense of safety and security, knowing that we're alive, knowing that we have a healthy body to get us through, knowing that we're so resilient. Having the patience and the openness to give space for the emotions that come up. Rather than running away or whiting them out. Allowing your fingers and your toes to relax. When you're in the middle of a story, it is not a story at all, but only a confusion, a dark roaring, a blindness, a wreckage of shattered glass or splintered wood, like a house in a whirlwind, or else a boat crushed by the icebergs or swept over the rapids, and all aboard, powerless to stop it. It's only afterward that it becomes anything like a story at all, when you are telling it to yourself or to someone else. Feeling into the quietness and the stillness. Just knowing that we've gone through many times in our lives of unknown, times filled with fear and grief and loss of connection with others. But knowing that soon enough we'll come back to a sense of feeling normal, normalcy, connection. And it's never the same as what normal used to be. But we get grounded into what our new normal is. We are incredibly adaptable and resilient. And in order to walk through this life and this path that's so unknown and unpredictable, we need to believe that we can come back to ourselves, to trust in our own wisdom. We need to feed ourselves with the nourishment and the hydration and the people and the connections and that connection to ourselves. Go ahead and begin to deepen your breath. Bringing in a little bit more aliveness with your inhales and your exhales. Begin to wiggle your fingers, maybe running your thumb across your fingertips, really stimulating and comforting for the heart. Maybe rolling out your ankles, and just feeling the softness and slowness here. You can go ahead and begin to transition your mind so you can initiate some movement to eventually roll onto one side. So if you're on props, you're going to move slowly, removing them so you can roll into sideline, child's pose, or fetal position. Just curling into yourself. And then making your way up to a seat and closing your eyes. You can rest your hands on your thighs or bring them up into a prayer position. Just feeling into this moment right here. Feeling into the results and the echoes of this practice of coming into ourselves, giving space and time to feel into the sensations and feel into the body. Though we're in this time that feels like a crisis, there's an ancient Chinese proverb that speaks to that in each crisis there is great opportunity. Whenever there's a time that systems are breaking down, there's a great opportunity to find innovative and new ways to better the systems. Go ahead and bring your hands up to the space between your eyebrows, this place of intuition and connection. Just feeling into the connection that we have to something greater, and that we have this guidance to bring us to the next step forward, taking things one step at a time. And bring your hands down towards your heart, bowing your chin down towards your heart. We do this practice not only for ourselves, but for all of our relationships and all beings everywhere. I honor the love and the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you can find little moments in your day to feel grounded and just observe what's going on internally and externally. So take care. Bye.